effectively, I think the best way to do this is I'll ask you the question.
Yeah.
And then you crack on.
Yeah.
So Jim,
Hi.
I'll count us in. Three, two, one. Welcome to the iArticulate YouTube channel. This is the 8-minute window. Join us each week in our exploration of leadership. While it takes time to master, the 8-minute window is an encouragement that it can take just a few minutes to learn a technique that might last you a lifetime. For all the reasons, we'd love it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm. Here's Jim Langley. He is our guest for this week. He's an outdoor guide, educator, and author. Is leading pedagogy just like leading an expedition? We talk team dynamics and differentiated leadership to find out. Enjoy the episode.
Well, in my industry, I lead and guide people in the mountains. I'm also an outdoor teacher, so I work in two fields, and I'm guiding people, I'm facilitating learning. I like to look at it as my ability to open windows and create a really wonderful environment for learning as I go through, with my various clients. So it is quite varied, the work I do, but the thing that connects it all together is about leadership, and it's about how you facilitate their journey through either learning or exploring. The main one would be the outdoor industry, the outdoor teaching.
Okay, so if you had a group of outdoor educators, where would you take them? Anywhere in the world, if you could take them somewhere for a day, where would you take them and why?
I would just take them outside. It doesn't matter where. If they're in an urban setting or a rural setting or half of a mountain, it's about what you can do with them and how you can engage with that world outside. And that's the whole value of taking kids outside the classroom. Is it's right on your doorstep. You don't have to travel the world to see all this stuff and to engage with it and to be a part of it. Obviously, in the outdoors, there's a huge perception of risk. And so if you're guiding a group on a mountainside or on a ridge or something, then you manage and take that group in a very different manner than if I'm facilitating an outdoor learning experience for people. So, the leadership style changes according to what I'm leading and what the risks are. And, and I think being flexible and being dynamic is one of the really key assets or requirements of being a leader, is that flexibility to adapt to any situation, because it's fairly dynamic. You're in the outdoors, weather changes, something happens to some of the kids, or things happen that you don't always expect. So being a leadership, you need to really keep your eye exactly what's going on at all times, but not giving the impression that you're overly stressed.
Creating that autonomy.
Exactly. So it's what goes on under the water with the duck's legs, is you're constantly assessing and reviewing and thinking, are people cold? Are they interested? Are they engaged? And I think that's an important thing. I think it's very flexible, it's very dynamic, and soft approach, hard approach. You're more very much didactic, follow me, you staying close, and other times it's like you can carry on up to there, or give them more flexible boundaries. But it's responsibility, and it's about controlling a group, managing a group, and the groups change. If I took the same school kids in different environments, or the different classes from the same school, I have to respond differently depending on who's in that group. So, and you can get kids that are just natural explorers, and others which are more reserved and don't, want to be guided more. So it changes, and it's very dynamic. I think it's the fact that they're engaged and they're hands-on and they're being practical, and be it just using leaves to look at colours, or to make sculptures, or to do things. It's people love it, teachers love it. They're outside their comfort zone, but it's really enjoyable and it's engaging. And so not just the outcome of the activity, but it's the greater opportunity that they have. They chat more, it's more informal, and I think that makes people relax. And so given that, and they've also been given ownership to go and collect this, to find that, to discover this. And so in small groups, they've got their own ownership. You've got a looser hand on that control of that kind of managing that group or the teachers in that situation.
So would you say that there's an element of it where almost being in a different role, they're not being the teacher at the front or the classroom facilitator, they're being part of a group who's also learning? Do you feel that creates a different way of thinking for them?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the questions then come from the students because they're interested and they're involved and they're like, oh, why does this happen? Or can you help me with this? And so the relationship between the teacher and the student changes, and it's I've seen that for years, and the kids come back and say, oh, I've learned something about my teacher today outside of what they're doing. But I think it's that added value that you get from that experience of being in nature.
Right, Jim, you're doing really well. Our 8-minute window is coming up. We're flying towards the end of it. You and I love a chat. I think
we do.
One of the last question: what is one practice that leaders could next week just try out in order to embrace some of what you've learned by leading groups out there in nature?
Excellent question. Something I came across a few years ago was something called a thinking routine or visible learning. And I do it naturally through being in the outdoors, but a teacher I was working with told me about a thinking routine. And there's one called a see, think, wonder.
Okay.
And so it's a way of engaging with the picture that you see in front of you. So you take yourself in the urban environment and look outside the front door and you look at what you see. So you notice the clouds, you notice it's raining, you notice cars move by. And then you think. So you think what it's like to be up there. You think it might be a bit chilly if I was to stay here for half an hour. But then trying to develop the sense of wonder, it's like, well, I wonder how long, this will go on for. I wonder, and it's that kind of perception of putting yourself in the picture.
I wonder what would happen if I paraglided off the top.
I wonder what it'd be like to jump off there. Exactly. So it's that kind of thing where you're connecting with, and it is about connection with the place that you're in. And I think that's something that resonates with me throughout everything I've done, is about how you connect people with the environment and it changes. But I think that whole idea of a thinking routine, or another one would be, I used to think blah, 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 but now I think. So just by doing something, and it's about learning, it's great in the classroom, it's brilliant for reflection and actual thinking and the process and the research behind the cognition and the way we operate. It's a really great thing called thinking routines.
No, that's brilliant. That's a really good one, and that's a fantastic way of finishing our 8-minute window. Jim, thanks so much for spending time to give us 8 minutes of your day, and I hope it resonates with everyone else and someone can go and practice that idea of wondering with their colleagues next week. Thanks very much, Jim. Have a great day.
Thank you. Cheers. I am an educator in the outdoors, as I've been explaining, and I have developed a book on alpine flowers and ecology and the geology, with a series of walks across the alpine range. I've also got a set of playing cards which are botanical, so I've got trees and wildflowers. They're like a little mini book in one, and it's a kind of idea that's developed over a few years. People on courses saying, I want to have a copy of something that you've just made, and so eventually I made a set of playing cards, and there's a range of 5.
And where can we find those, Jim?
My website, natureswork.co.uk.